Today, I'm coming back with another Bol Bol video. It's a new month, and for those of you who are subscribed to the channel, you know that about every month I make a new video about my favorite player in the NBA, Bol Bol, who this season isn't getting any playing time, and as I say this every single video I make about Bol Bol, it's absolutely ridiculous that he's not getting any playing time right now, since he's one of the more unique and potentially dominant players in the NBA and has an incredibly bright future ahead of him. I've made lots of videos, as I mentioned, on the channel about Bol, and I pretty much posted every month about him for the last 3 or 4 months, and he's obviously has this insane skill set, and the videos I've made about him, 2 of them have been about why he should be getting playing time. I made one about a conspiracy theory why he's not playing, one about some trade possibilities for him, and if you haven't already, be sure to check those out as well. I'll link the playlist to all of these videos down below in the description. But what I'm going to be doing in today's video is discussing just how good I think Bol Bol could be and what his career might look like going forward, and really just going through what I think his prime could potentially look like. I'll look at what his ceiling could potentially be in the best case scenario for Bol, what his floor could be, and the worst possible scenario for Bol could be, and then I'm going to be discussing what I actually think is going to happen in the prime of his career. So before we get started, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my new NBA videos, and also so you don't miss out on these Bol Bol videos that I'm going to be posting pretty much every month. So with that being said, let's get started. So just to clarify, I will be talking about what I think is going to happen in Bol's prime of his career for all 3 of these stages of the video, what I think his ceiling, his floor, and what I actually think is going to happen to him. So let's get started with talking about what I think Bol Bol's prime could look like if he truly hits his full potential and reaches his ceiling. And we all know that Bol Bol has this amazing skill set, and if he uses it properly and gets proper minutes, he's going to be one of the most unguardable players in the NBA, since he can pretty much dribble and shoot at an extremely high level, shooting pretty much around 45% from 3 for his NBA career so far, and 52% in the 9 games that he played in college, which are absolutely off the chart numbers. They're small sample sizes, but it's still really consistent numbers from Bol. So his shooting combined with his frame and how he's 7'2" and pretty much can shoot over anyone is going to make him unstoppable. And his skill set is very similar to Kevin Durant's. Bol and Kevin Durant are pretty much the only 2 players in the NBA that are 7 foot, can dribble like this and shoot off of the dribble very efficiently as well. And Bol Bol obviously is not Kevin Durant, and he's not going to turn into exactly Kevin Durant. He's not going to be the greatest scorer of all time. But since his skill set is extremely similar, he has the potential to be a multi-time all-star if he fully reaches his full potential and everything goes right. Obviously, Kevin Durant is a little bit more dominant, he's a little bit more agile, and a lot faster than Bol and more explosive out there on the court, but they still have very similar skill sets, and the fact that Bol Bol is 7'2" and can shoot, that's all you need to be extremely unguardable if he gets that 3 going. So I think if Bol Bol, everything goes right for him, and he gets consistent minutes in the prime of his career, stays out of really serious injury trouble, and also puts on a little bit more muscle so he can get a little bit more minutes playing center, and really maximizes his skill set on a team that he fits really well on. If he reaches that ceiling, I think he's going to average 26 points per game in his prime with 10 rebounds, around 4 assists, getting a little bit more passing in there as well and maximizing his playmaking ability. He could shoot around 55% from the field and 43% from 3 if he gets consistent minutes. It's obviously not going to be the same efficiency numbers as right now, since he's going to be getting a lot more touches if he's at this all-star caliber level, around 80% from the line, and if he really gets good development on the defensive end of the floor, he's going to maximize his rim protection ability, which is absolutely dominant as well, just like his dad, and really that's the only quality that they have similar to each other when we're talking about their on-court game. And I think in his prime, if he reaches his ceiling, Bol could average around 4 blocks per game and be thought of as a top 30 defender because of his dominant rim protection and paint defense. So if Bol reaches his ceiling, I think he's not necessarily going to be exactly like Kevin Durant, but his player comparison pretty much will be like a Kevin Durant Jr., if you will. Pretty much the exact same skill set at almost the exact same volume, and we know that Bol Bol has tons of potential, and if he reaches his ceiling, this is what I think it's going to look like. So now let's talk about what Bol Bol's floor could be. And despite Bol's incredible potential and his amazing skill set that is very similar to Kevin Durant's, he's been slept on throughout the first 1 or 2 years of his career, as we know, falling all the way to 44th in the NBA draft in 2019. And it's not often we hear potential multi-time all-star and 26-point per game scorer in the same sentence as 44th overall pick. But that's just how slept on Bol Bol was, and how his skill set can really be dominant if he gets the right minutes and development. But basically the worst case for Bol here is that he gets slept on throughout his entire career because he was slept on by lots of scouts, and I think that's because of his frame. And if he doesn't bulk up, he's probably not really gonna ever get consistent minutes. And if you guys watch my channel, you know that the last video I made about Bol Bol was a conspiracy about why he's not playing right now, and you can check that out as well if you haven't already. But if that conspiracy isn't true and the Nuggets just straight up are not giving him minutes because they think he's not good enough to play right now, it's a legitimate possibility that throughout Bol's career, he's never going to really find that team that he can maximize his skill set on and get consistent minutes. And if this happens in his prime, he's going to be a low rotation role player at best, and he could potentially be averaging around 10 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists in his prime if the floor happens here. And also, he could be a below average defender. As we know right now, Bol is not a great defender, and it's because he hasn't gotten consistent minutes and development as a defender yet. And if this never happens, this is how he's going to turn out. So this is basically Bol Bol's floor and the worst case scenario if he doesn't get the right development and he continues to get slept on. So now I'm going to talk about what I actually think is going to happen to Bol Bol and what I think his prime is going to look like. So when we look at Bol Bol now, this is his first full season and he's not getting any consistent playing time. I think maybe for the next 3 years of his career, he could be one of those low rotation role player type of guys that gets around 15 to 20 minutes per game and comes in there, provides a little bit of rim protection and shooting for his team, and basically playing whatever role they want him to play, especially if they're contending. And then after that, pretty much for the next 5 years of his career, he could develop into more of a high rotation bench player and the sixth man for maybe a team, and really play a role like a guy like Chris Boucher does. I've always looked at Chris Boucher and Bol Bol as very similar players, and I think if Bol Bol plays a role like Chris Boucher for kind of the next 5 years of his career after those first 3 where he's like a low rotation role player, if he plays kind of a similar play style to Chris Boucher, that could be really good for his development because he could really focus on just developing his defense and maximizing his rim protection at the NBA level, and also on offense, coming off of the bench and getting into a lot of pick and roll action and really showing off what he can do from 3, and also getting a few opportunities to handle the ball. So he could play a role like this for quite a while and show off especially what he's good at. And then this is when he's going to start getting the recognition. And this is what I truly think is going to happen to Bol Bol. It's going to be a slow process, and as I've been talking about, it's pretty much going to take him, in my opinion, 8 years to get that full recognition and then try to turn into that all-star caliber player. But I think after those 5 years of playing a role where he comes off of the bench and provides what he's good at, this is when I think he could potentially become a main option on a team and really maximize his full potential. And this is when I think he could become an all-star, and I think that Bol Bol will end up becoming an all-star at some point in his career. His skill set is just that dominant, and I think his stats in his prime, if this does happen and he gets that slow but good development, his stats in his prime will look like around 23 points per game with 9 rebounds and 3 assists on around 57% from the field, 42% from 3, still having that lethal 3-point shot, and also getting his volume up if he does become the main option on a team, with around 3 blocks and being considered a top 50 defender in the NBA. So in my opinion, I think he's going to turn out to be pretty close to the ceiling of what I think he could potentially be as well. So I think Bol Bol will get slow development, but because of his skill set, he's eventually going to figure out how to become that all-star caliber player. So as I mentioned, I think he's going to be pretty much a 1 to 2 time all-star throughout his career, and it'll take him about 8 years to really get to his prime of being an all-star caliber player. And a lot of you guys aren't going to believe me here since you haven't watched Bol Bol enough to see what his real skill set is like. And let me just tell you that I know he's not going to turn into Kevin Durant, but he could turn into a player that's similar to that just because of his playstyle, and it's really self-explanatory when you think about it. He is literally 7'2" and can dribble and handle the ball at a high level and shoot the three. I mean, there's really not else you can do to guard him if he gets that three-pointer going, and that's why he's going to turn into an all-star caliber player in his prime. If he becomes the main option on a team, you're going to see just how unguardable he can be with his three-point shot and his frame. And then defensively, a lot of people are saying that Bol Bol right now is a liability on defense, and that's because they've watched him play for 3 minutes on the Denver Nuggets, and they see how he's pretty lost out there on the floor. But you don't know Bol Bol if you don't think he's a good defender, because I've watched him throughout his entire basketball career so far, and I know that he's actually not only a good rim protector that can get 3 block shots per game, but he's also a really versatile defender that can really succeed in a good system. And I'm not saying the Nuggets defensive system is bad, I just think Bol Bol needs to get more practice and experience playing defense, and he will turn into one of the better defenders in the NBA if he gets good consistent development and learns how to play defense with an NBA team. So the whole misconception of Bol Bol being a bad defender is pretty much false. He's an elite rim protector if he plays with a system that he really understands and he knows how to communicate with his teammates. So on both ends of the floor, Bol Bol could potentially be dominant in his prime, and I think he will make an all-star team throughout his career. So there you have it. That is the end of today's video. That's what I think Bol Bol's ceiling and floor is in the peak of his NBA career, and at the end there, what I think it's going to end up looking like for Bol, and why I think he's going to be a potential all-star later in his career. Thank you all for watching this video. As I mentioned, if you're new, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new videos. Comment down below what you think is going to happen with Bol Bol's career, what you think his ceiling and floor is as well, and I'll see you all in the next video.